Hey, what's up, everyone? So, yesterday I got into a really interesting discussion, and it really got me thinking, and it got them thinking as well. Um, but it really started off with one of my family members is gay, and she's married to her wife. And again, I don't say names, but I asked them about the gay pride movement. And I said, why would you be proud of being something just for the sake of being it? Be proud of the actions that you take as an individual. I say the same thing with the Black Pride movement. I say, if you're just black for the sake of being black, that's not something to be proud of. But if you are a black individual doing good for the world, then that's something to be proud of. And they made me look at it a little bit differently because they had mentioned being an oppressed group. It's taught to have shame for that oppression. So you become prideful for that moment to get rid of the shame. Now, that doesn't mean to play the victim mentality. They agreed with me on that. They said you don't play the victim mentality. It is about taking action at the end of the day. But that's where the pride comes from. And it did make sense to me. And we actually talked for a good hour and a half, 2 hours about the topic because I always go really deep into it. And the biggest thing with being oppressed is, like I said, the worst place to be oppressed is within the mind. I say once you get past that barrier, you can get past any barrier. And they agreed with that as well. And one of the most interesting things about it all was, as individuals, as human beings, I know how much potential we have as people. We can be filled with love and we can be filled with hate. And it really comes down to how you're going to have that discussion. I always talk about empathizing with people first, because the second you can empathize with someone, that gives them the chance to understand you. And I think that's what makes things a little more difficult and hairy when it comes to even having a discussion about anything. I mean, you see a liberal trying to defend their views on the news, and sometimes they'll look really crazy. And the first instinct is, oh, they're just a crazy liberal. But at the same time, if you were to put yourselves in that person's shoes, and they're standing for something and they're saying your stance is false and idiotic, you might bolster up to say some outlandish things in the heat of the moment. And it's kind of hard not to. You're in the public eye, you're trying to defend your stance, and it's not really a topic on let's have a discussion. It's more of a topic of let me break this person down. I've seen it happen with trainers and clients a lot. Me being a personal trainer, when you're dealing with an individual who's 300 plus pounds, who they're really trying to make a change, and if you can't step into their shoes and you tell them how, well, you should stop eating these donuts and you should stop doing, like, we don't know where they were. Empathize to their stance. Understand their stance. And it goes both ways. The people who have been quote unquote oppressed can try to understand the other side as well. But it really just comes down to communicating, because I really believe when people start communicating about these issues, I think things will open up, and I think it's going to be better overall for everyone as a society. Because I look at, even when you look at Black Lives Matter, and then there's a protest to the protests, instead of trying to understand what do they mean by that. Me as an individual, I believe Clifford Starks matters. I believe everybody question mark what's your name matters, but at the same time it's like take the time to ask questions and genuinely be empathetic and try to understand the other side. It might sound weird, it might be hard sometimes because you're used to seeing the world through your own eyes and through your own lens. But when you take the moment to ask questions, honestly, I think both sides go away better because of it, because we try and find solutions. And that's what it's about, is finding solutions, not by degrading people, by making people feel like they're idiots, by breaking them down. When me and my family member left, I think we both left better because of it, because we got to see the world just a little bit differently in a different spectrum, and that's the beauty of it. Like I said, I don't care if you're black, white, green, purple. I don't care what your sexuality is. I don't even care if you've done bad things all your life. You're still a human being. And if you're a human being, you have potential and you have ability and you feel. Like I talk about how each individual has something special about them, and they do. Each individual has something special about them. But we all have a lot of things that are very similar to us too. We all want love at the end of the day. We all want to be understood at the end of the day. If you cut us, we all bleed at the end of the day. And I really, really believe people just want the betterment of themselves. And in order to get the betterment of yourselves, you have to get the betterment of others. When people come together and help one another out, it's a very beautiful thing. And that's part of the reason I did make this channel, because I want to give the opportunity for people to really find their greatness, whether they're in the light already, finding their greatness, or in a dark place, questioning if they even have greatness. But I do think one of the things we have to do when we are finding who we are and what we're capable of is to have moments to actually think as well, and just take a second to step back and look at the world in a different lens. Because when you look at the world in a different lens for a second, you'd be surprised what you might find. So I'd love to hear you guys' comments on this one. This was, like I said, a really interesting topic for me, and I want to know what you guys think. Thanks. You have a great day.